Hello, everybody. I'm CJ Miller. I'm in my bedroom in my apartment that is in downtown Shreveport, Louisiana, located just across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. So, uh, this cool. This is a really nifty little straight back chair that I love. That I'll tell you that story in a second. I'll talk about it, but I'm going to sit down in my chair. I thought this would just go great in my bedroom. I think it's cool. It's like an accent chair, really. Um, but I want to set up more of a homey, kind of a personal place in the bedroom, so that I can put a TV in the bedroom. And the TV that I did have was kind of an older television set. Yeah, it was like almost 20 years old. And so I ended up uh, giving that to someone who could use it because I had a larger TV set in the living room. But I find that I've gotten into the habit of like sitting up at night and watching some TV or something like that, and I want to get more. I want to get more use out of the bedroom. I want to sleep in my bed a lot more, and less falling asleep on the couch. So what I want to do is I want to get like a TV and put back here, and so I'm going to work on creating a kind of a living space back here as well as in the front, just kind of make it nice and homey. But yeah, so this chair is really kind of cool. Mike, my friend, you've heard me talk about on this channel. If you watched, he was doing a side job in which he was like cleaning out this house. The massive house looked like the size of a village. Excuse me, dry throat. Let me get a drink. Okay, got my uh, Coke, Coca-Cola diet. Okay, wanted to get a coaster. These tables are nice too. They're like gold lined and everything. It's gonna make a neat little setup. So that's kind of cool. It also means that I'm going to change the bedspread that I put on the bed. I've got this wonderful, uh, I've been doing like big, black and everything. It just makes the room dark and easier to sleep in. Now I'm gonna go back to kind of a light, sandy, goldish color, and it's gonna tie in with the gold trims that are happening. So we're gonna go with that. Okay. By the way, Brendan Ralph, Brandon Routh was not everybody's favorite Superman in Superman Returns. However, and I think this one was from the Crisis on Infinite Earths, the WB uh, crossover. But he is as far as I think I'm the only one that might share the sentiment that he was my favorite Superman, and he only made one Superman movie. And then he went on to do some WB stuff, notably as the Atom. That's a side thing. Yeah, so we went into this mansion, Mike and I, this big thing, and we walked inside, and it's like, oh wow, this place is stacked floor to ceiling with old furniture that needs to be moved out or whatever. What is going on? There was a TV that was left on in one of the other rooms, and it's just everything. But there was this sense that Mike and I were not alone in this big, huge house. What was going? Clearly, nobody was there, but is that clear? It really, we felt there was a sense. It was like, those old Scooby Doo cartoons, or maybe um, Salem's Lot. That one, the last remake where they went in to bring the box in, and then uh, they feel that there's some sort of presence or something in the house or something. There was an ominousity to it, but I almost felt like we were being watched or observed or something like that. And then the people in the neighborhood were weird. It was like, oh my god. It's like, were we at the mystery house? I don't know, but God, was it weird. So anyway, but I got this set up, and and that's kind of cool. there was just basically it was just Mike was to haul away furniture and dump it or make use of to people who could use it. So anyway, and he said to me when I talked about this chair, I was like, "That is cool," and he was like, "I bet you're going to take that and put it in the back of your apartment and set it up like a throne. I bet that'll be your throne." And I was like, "Yeah, you bet your ass." So yeah, that's what I did. But what I want to talk about is what's in here. And I just made this today, and I'm going to run you down a list. Starting out, uh, probably about 2 ounces until I tell you more uh, to increase it. But about 2 ounces of each one of these. 2 ounces of onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, that's ground red pepper, powdered form. Uh, about 2 ounces of black pepper, uh, chicken bouillon powder, and you need to omit any salt because the bouillon powder is salty, so you wouldn't add salt recipe. About uh, about 2 ounces of your favorite Italian seasoning blend, the greens. Uh, and then we want to bump it up to about 3 ounces for these next ones. Uh, Cumin. Now, cumin is a ground seasoning from the coriander plant. I think it's from the seed, but it may not be. But it's ground. Cumin and coriander, they kind of have a similar effect. If you're allergic, like my sister is allergic to cumin, so if you're allergic to cumin, you're allergic to coriander. It's the same plant. One you render from different parts of the plant. But then there's so it's cumin, and I just then I said about 3 ounces of that. Then about 3 ounces of ground sage, about 3 ounces of curry powder. Now the curry powder blend that I have is primarily tarragon. There's some other things like a little bit of, all these little blends. Those last three, potentially have a little bit of some other seasoning. So I didn't look into it too much to see what else was in there. But primarily, if you wanted to not use those blends, then for the cumin, you could use coriander seed, or you could use anything like that. Then what anything of that, anything of coriander and cumin are the same plant, so you could substitute uh, for that. If you're using fresh herbs instead of dried herbs, you would double these measurements because the flavor is more intense when the herbs are dried than if they're fresh. So if you're doing like for instance, instead of the curry powder, if you're doing tarragon, then you would use approximately 6 ounces of freshly pinched and chopped tarragon instead of 3 ounces of um, the curry seasoning, which is primarily tarragon in my blend. And the same for sage. If you're using fresh sage, you would use about 6 ounces of sage versus the 3 ounces of sage. But anyway, and you take these and use them to the blend. Those are the ingredients. You'll have to do a little trial and error, add a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that, the things that you like. This is very wonderful. But to bind it together and to help it to bind to the chicken that it's going to go on, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment, I added about half a cup of cornstarch. Half a cup of cornstarch is all that's needed for this because there is cornstarch already in the chicken bouillon powder that I used. So I could, use a little less of that. Now, the reason why I added the cornstarch directly to the seasoning, you didn't have to. If you're going to bake it, you certainly wouldn't have to. But I made this up for frying, not for baking. So for baking, maybe you leave the cornstarch out of it and sprinkle this directly on your chicken and you bake it in the oven. but I'm making this for frying. And the reason why I added the cornstarch is I'm going to add these seasonings directly to the chicken. I've got about 8.5 to 9 pounds of chicken quarters. It's a 10-pound bag that you could find at any of your supermarkets, but they always add a little bit of broth to a little water or something like that to help maintain the freshness of it and keep it submerged in water and everything. So I always think about when I say 10 pounds, if it's in one of those bags, you know you're going to lose about a pound and a pound and a half, something of volume when you take the chicken out. Also, if you decide that you want to skin your chicken before frying, you're going to accommodate for that measurement as well. But I'm going to leave the skin on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the leg from the thigh for easier fitting. And of course, I'm going to take this, sprinkle it onto the chicken, and I'm going to make several small videos about my process of doing the chicken. And the reason why is I'm doing a lot of decluttering and some chores around the apartment today. And so what I want to do is I want to do these little videos. And that way, when I show you what I'm doing with the chicken, then I can set it aside in the fridge, let it rest up as I am going with my other chores, and I can make little videos of each step of the way. And that way I don't have to come across with some really long, 2-hour video of how to make chicken uh, that's unedited and whatever. And, whatever. So my day today, chicken. It doesn't always, you don't always, like, to be honest with you, if say you work in a professional kitchen, you would have a wider array of menus, and all this stuff would be prepped. So it really is just take the chicken, uh, put it in the hot oil, fry it, and it really is a lot quicker to have everything prepped. So if you're in a big house and you're constantly cooking for a lot of people, some of these recipes you just have this rotation out of things that are always prepping. A good kitchen is always prepped. A good preparation. That's why you always want to check your ingredients first. I'm going to take this. I'll give you a rundown in case you just don't need to come back and see those other videos. I'm going to take this, sprinkle it copiously upon my other pieces of chicken. It'll help bind a little bit because of the cornstarch will adhere a little bit to the moisture in the chicken. You kind of want to pat the chicken down then, make it be as dry as possible, even though it's chicken, it's not going to be dry. But you don't want excess moisture. So kind of pat that down, and then add your seasonings to it. And then the cornstarch is going to, as it sits up and clings, the cornstarch is going to help it cling and help even provide a crispy texture. Then what I will do, the next step is I will work out an egg wash, which is, some little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of milk that I'm going to add to it. And I'm going to make an egg wash, just a diluted egg, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chicken and take the chicken out of this seasoning. I'm going to put it in a little bit of dry flour. And what I have is all-purpose flour rather than self-rising. You really could use either. And then I'm going to dip it into the egg wash. And if I feel that I need to, if I feel that it's really not clinging, if I'd like to, because what's really going to happen when I say that I'm going to take this chicken and I'm going to dip it into the flour, what's really going to happen? Let me clarify this. I'm going to take this, put it on the chicken, let it cling, and then I'm going to add to that bowl. I'm going to add flour directly to it, and I'm going to let the chicken rest, and I'm going to let that flour kind of cling to that chicken, probably about 15 minutes at least. And if it clings a little bit longer, even better. You actually at that point can take the chicken and set it aside if you're prepping it earlier in the day and then you're going to fry it at night. Then we get to the egg wash part. After it's sat in this, and then I let it go to the flour and let that flour cling. Then what happens is then I dip it into the egg wash and then another roll into the flour and then into the hot oil for, 8 to 12 minutes, depending upon the size of the chicken, until it is crispy and delicious, and then it's ready to go. So now you know my process that I'm going to be doing today, in case you didn't want to follow all the other little videos that are coming up, but I'm going to be making those videos as well. But for right now, love and light, and have a good day.